like, how would you deal with setbacks or challenges, especially for like a freshman? We do have a lot of setbacks because we get distracted since it's high school, we're all crazy and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I think don't beat yourself up too much. And also, they're inevitable. There's going to be setbacks and disappointments your entire life, but there'll be loads of amazing things too. And in some ways, I wish we didn't call them setbacks or disappointments, because the biggest life lessons for me have always been from a disappointment or a setback. I don't know if you like looked at the kind of, so the expeditions in Antarctica that I did, I've done two. And the only reason I've done two, I had no plans to do two, is the first one failed. I got sick about halfway through. I had to get medically evacuated. It was all super dramatic and like taken back to the UK hospital, and that was fine. But it felt like a massive, massive failure. And that's okay, you're going to have them. But I got out of hospital, I had 3 days where I stayed in my PJs, I watched Netflix, my phone was on airplane mode, and I was like, I hate the world, everyone leave me alone, because I was so kind of nervous about having to see people I work with and explain them that I didn't make it. Having to see like family and explain to them I didn't make it, and it was just like, oh. So they happen all the time. So I think, but when they first kind of hit, you're allowed to be really upset about it, that's okay. But after that, I think you pretty quickly got to take the emotion out of it. Pretend like it was a friend you had the setback. What would you say to them? You wouldn't be like, oh my god, you're awful, like you messed up. So you never say that to a friend. So I think take the emotion out of it. What would you say to a friend in the same position? And then if you take the emotion out of it, you can be like, okay, so this is my options now, what do I do? A, B, and C, right? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go and do that. And it's not like this straight line to getting to where you want to be. It's kind of like this. And like in the ups and the downs are where I've always learned the most, hands down. So I always find it funny when people are like, oh, you failed in Antarctica. And I'm like, I didn't fail. And then I went back. So yeah, I got there in the end.
that's a good way to look at it. I feel like that's better to look at it because as kids, we overlook things and overthink a lot. So I feel like we could learn a lot from the mistakes or setbacks that we do.
Or let's not even call them that. Yeah, it's not a failure. Don't worry, you're not failing at anything.
I have another question. So since you're doing, the Women's Foundation, and you're helping other people so much, is there anything specific that you like to do for self-care? Any like favorite activities or techniques that you use?
It's just being outside. Yeah, I'm happy if I'm outside. No, for real like self-care, I do now meditate every day, which is something I never used to do. I use an app called Calm app, an American accent. You do have to pay for that, but there's loads kind of on YouTube for free. And my husband used to say to me, like, you should try meditation every day. And I used to be like, I don't need that. I'm so chill, like, whatever, I don't need that. And it's not really about that. And so I started doing it, and I saw a massive, really, really helpful. When I'm doing a lot of my kind of, a 50-mile race or a big long training session, I go into this like flow state where you're kind of like totally in the zone. And I find that doing the meditation helps me get there much quicker. So I really enjoy that, and it just totally, really relaxes me. And then the other thing that is kind of self-care for me is a lot of sleep. I sleep like 9 hours minimum a night, sometimes 10. Yeah, and that's the great thing about exercise to me, is like when your head gets on that pillow, it's like, oh, gone. I can't do without sleep. It's super important for recovery, and it means everything to me. That's my self-care.
I feel that's important too, sleeping. It helps heal your body.
Yeah.
What do you think is like benefits from having a fitness routine?
So at the moment, I like start the week with a bit of paper, and I'll write down what I'm going to do every day. And to me, that's enough to make sure I get it done, because then like I get my pen and like I like tick it off, and I don't like not ticking it off. At home, like the great thing about being at home is you don't need any gym equipment. Like, so we're talking about all these free workouts. There's loads. Just use your own body weight. So you don't need a kettlebell. You don't need weight. You don't need any of that. You need some Wi-Fi.
I think a lot of people realize that in quarantine you can just do it so easily in your own home.
Yeah, you don't need, and I think normally we maybe come up with a lot of excuses why, like, oh, I can't do this because I'd have to go to the gym, and then I don't have time. I do it in my bedroom. Yeah, but the routine is everything for me. So like I'll wake up in the morning, I'll do like quick meditation, then it's like, right, what's my workout for today? And I need to do that. I've noticed, like yesterday I was really tired. I didn't get up to like 8:30 in the morning, 9 a.m., which is unusual for me. And it just threw my whole day off whack because of the routine. And it's just like, this is annoying, I need to get back on track. The next morning back up at like 6, 7 a.m. and getting out there. But routine is really, really important. I don't think we realize just how important it is. It's like that familiarity with like doing the same kind of things, especially when you're in like mostly in one room.
Yes, especially my routine definitely has changed.
I bet it has, yeah. But you had no idea a global pandemic was coming your way, so.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important to stay balanced though during these times.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I just had an ice cream after lunch, and I'll probably have another one after dinner. So.
But what do you do to like keep yourself balanced?
I think it's how like I'm framing it in my mind. Like I'm really grateful for this time. I am indoors way more than I would otherwise be, of course. I guess I'm still like planning for the future expeditions, even though I have no idea when they might happen. That doesn't mean I can't like dream them up.
Yeah.
And I did start writing a journal, and I just do 5 minutes every day, and I write down like complete nonsense, like anything that pops into my head. And I think that'd be funny to kind of look back on in a couple of years, because it'll be like, what happened in lockdown? You'll be like, well, because at the beginning it's like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And then a couple weeks later, it's like, I'm just going to do this and this, and that will be enough for me. So yeah, that's a good way of keeping balance. This has been going on for a long time now.
Yeah, no one was expecting it to go past March or even April.
No. I remember like I'm supposed to be on a trip next week, and some friends from the US were coming over to do it with us in Scotland, some like mountain climbing. And at the beginning of lockdown, we were like, of course that trip in June is going ahead. That is so far away. And then it hasn't. So it is hard to kind of keep it going, because you're like, when's this gonna, and also the hardest thing, this isn't like a race where you can be like, okay, I've got to run this amount, I've got to cycle this as an end point. We have no idea when the end point is.
Yeah.
So that's why you keep asking about like balance. That's why it's so important, and routine, because you can't kind of look at the bigger picture. I think you just freak out a little bit. So you just got to baby steps. And of course we know that it'll go back to normal at some point. But it might just be a while.